I'm running low on diesel, and I've got wood to process because we've got customers that need wood. We're running out ourselves, but a couple of things got to get done first before we get the processor out. Let's get to it. Feed for the sheep, a couple of lick buckets in the middle of winter now, and hopefully in the next month and a half we're going to start lambing. But I thought I'd give you a quick introduction to SARNGOCH Farm. So we run the farm. It's a small farm in southwest Wales in the UK, and making a living on a small farm this day and age is hard, so you've got to try and get on top of every little thing that you can. When we bought the farm, it hadn't really been farmed in about, I don't know, getting on 25-30 years. Hedges were 30 plus foot up in the air, and in some cases coming out into the field about 16 metres. And that was every field. There wasn't an inch of fencing on the whole place, and obviously number one was to get that done. The fencing managed to get done on 5 fields after a lot of work of cutting out the hedges, cutting trees down, well, not cutting out the hedges, so laying the hedges, cutting the trees down to have a bit more of an established boundary. It's thicker, it's also better for the wildlife having a hedge rather than a tree line, and it allows the sun to get on the fields. So when you're making hay, you don't have to wait till 2 o'clock in the afternoon before you turn it, because there's no shadows in the field. But that was the main first thing really that we got done. Now, as on a small farm, we have a few sheep. The sheep bring in little to no money whatsoever. They're there just to keep the grass down really in the winter months, so that it's a lush fresh grass for when we come to make hay and haylage, which is the main part of our business. Conventional bale hay, conventional bale haylage. We'd also do big bales, but small bales, we managed to get that little bit of a niche in the market which you have to get and establish yourself, and that's what we went for. So I'll tell you how it all started with that. We had a 5-acre field before we bought the farm, and the hay that was made on there was for my parents' horses. And at the time my father had a Massey 135 and a PZ 300 hay barn, and we had to get a contractor in to mow, and we were able to go out and ted, rake, and then the contractor would come in and bale, and then on a 7-foot trailer we used to bring those bales in. We'd average about 500 bales, and any bales that were left over would be sold on, and it would help pay towards the contractor's fees for making the hay. And then the next year we had a 12-foot trailer, and a mower. We bought a 5'6" drum mower, and that just took out that one extra thing then that the contractors would be in doing. The contractors would still be in to bale, you'd turn up on time, absolutely spot on, and then you pay your fee, whatever it is, per bale, and you just need to bring them in. So you're handballing them out of the field, onto the trailer, into the shed, off the trailer, stack them, and it is a lot of work, and it's that typical summertime country work where you get a lot of friends, family help, chip in, and essentially make life so much easier. You're a bit of a social, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day when it comes to making hay. So then the year after that we bought a bale trailer and a Massey 275, so a French Massey made for the French market. Cracking tractor, little 830 loader on it, and that made life a bit easier because we stack them on the trailer so you could bring more in, and it was sort of less time going backwards and forwards from the shed. The year after that, bit the bullet, my father went down the local mart and there was a conventional baler down there, an old Jones Mark 10T, cracking bit of kit. Mechanically sound. I mean, my father's got an engineering background, and he bought it in the end, got it back, and it was just fantastic because we could do everything in farm. I mean, the 135 would pull that, no problem at all. The 275 would pull it, no problem at all. And that was it. But then we still had that bit where you got to chuck every bale on, and it was just taking time. The next year we bought the farm, and we went from doing 500 bales to thousands of bales the next season, and that was a lot of work, and thankfully we had a lot of family and friends that were able to come and help and bring the bales in. The year after that we had a sledge and a flat 8 grab, and that was a game changer. That just eliminated having to have the people out in the field loading the bales onto the trailer, just having them in the shed, unloading them off the trailer and stacking them, which just made life so much easier. So a couple of years of that setup, producing thousands of bales a year. Last year we thought we're going to up this one more, just a little bit more, to make it a bit of a better operation because we were baling more again. And you've got to have quicker kit when it comes to making hay, really, if you're trying to do it on a larger scale, because it's seasonal work, it's weather dependent work, and you can't control the weather. It doesn't matter how much you try, you cannot control the weather. And as you might look at the Met Office and say 5 good days of sunshine, over 20 degrees, a slight breeze, and then you all of a sudden you look the next day after you've mown and it says it's going to rain in 2 days time. And it's pretty heartbreaking, but that's just the way it is. That's making hay, that's farming at the end of the day. So like I said, last year then we bought another tractor. We bought a 390, and with the intention of that going on the new baler that we had ordered from Evans Brothers. And this baler was meant to be the absolute mutts. It's the 1840 Massey inline baler. What an animal. I mean, we bought that from Evans Brothers with the 390. We also bought a tedder and a rake, and that just completely changed everything. With this new kit, with the season we had last year, we would not have been successful with the previous setup which we had. It just wasn't going to happen. The Jones baler, as good as it is not as fast as the 1840, which is just an absolute unbelievable bit of farming equipment. It is expensive, but it is worth every penny. Absolutely every penny. And with the tedder being able to do the fields, I think they're about 3 times faster. The rake bringing in larger rows instead of using the hay bob. Everything just came in. We also had another trailer. We bought another trailer, a 26-foot trailer for M4, a local business here in West Wales. And this just took it to that next up and made life so much easier, and it was just phenomenal. The speed in which you can bale, the hydraulically press, it just made a world of difference, and getting them into the sheds then was so much faster. So that's the main part of what we do. But like I said, because the hedges were so high and we had that much wood, we do run our house and everything else on wood. And we ended up buying a small wood processor. It had a small circular saw one side and then a cone splitter the other side. We had that much wood that we were having to sell bags, tens of bags, just to sort of really get rid of it, because we couldn't store it, we weren't going to be able to get through it quick enough, and that helps bring in a bit of income. Not a lot, but a bit. And seeing that the wood was already there, you've got to sort of capitalise on what you can in a small farm. Then working on some more hedges, so we've still got about 5-6 fields of tree lines to cut out and lay, and the wood is just piling up. So we then sold that small wood processor, which took 2 people, and bought a bigger processor which we're going to be using later, and that took out that second person, which is brilliant as far as we're concerned. And it cuts the wood, splits the wood up the conveyor belt into bags and onto the trailer, whatever you might want to use or fill. And that's it. That we supply a lot of wood, we have to keep orders up, and it's quicker doing it for ourselves. Time is a big thing in farming, and obviously in everything. You can't make more of it. Doesn't matter how much money you've got, one thing you can't do is make more time. So that's pretty much it. In concerns of what we do, we have a few goats. The wood processing, we do in fact take that off and process on farms and small holdings and other businesses that have trees taken down and haven't got the time or the kit to process the wood. We then go out and process it for them, and if they want, we can stack it for them, bag it into trailers, whatever it might be. And again, it's making the most of the kit you got, and that could go out on the 135, which is incredibly cheap to run, on the 275 or the 390, and just makes life so much better having that, being able to get that additional income, which, as we all know, farms need. But anyway, time to get some fuel and get some sheep feed. Ooh, so now for the wood processing, which we need to get done, like I said, to keep some orders right for customers and to keep ourselves going. And we're going to be using the beast, the little beauty, Massey 135. She is made in 1970, goes like an absolute dream, pulls the wood processor all day like it's nothing. But obviously with an older tractor, a couple of things we've got to check first: oil, fuel, and then we'll get going. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through to you the setup we use when it comes to processing wood, and that is well, it doesn't really matter what tractor the processor goes on. At the moment we've got it on the 135. It's a Hacky Pilkey OH27. It's cracking for what we want. It cuts up to about 13 inches, and then once it goes through the circular saw, it then goes through to a splitter, up the conveyor belt, and then into trailer or bags, whatever you want, and it just runs off the PTO. There's no hydraulics or anything like that on it, but this doesn't run at 540. Max you want to run this at is 410, and it gets through it. It is a cracking bit of kit. It's perfect for our size farm, the amount of wood that we do process. There's no point for us to go any bigger, justifying but spending thousands more on a machine. But this is like to keep our customers happy, the few that we have, and ourselves really. Like I said, all the hedges here were 20 foot plus high, and for what we've laid and the trees we've cut out to bring these back down to hedges rather than tree lines is absolutely perfect. That's brilliant then. That's one order fulfilled. Thank God. It's just a case now of getting them delivered, coming back, processing more, and hopefully processing enough for ourselves as well. So that's the lot done. I guess it wasn't really a very long video, or much about what we're getting done, but it was just a nice relaxed day today, processing wood. Something therapeutic about processing wood. Nice and chilled out, nice and relaxing. So just needs to get the processor away. 135 tucked up in bed. Best thing for all those old tractors, keep them inside, out the wet, out the frost, and they'll last you a lifetime.